This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by fighter, manager, promoter. What can I call you now, Mick?
All three, all three, all three.
How's things going, of course, and how was the show this past weekend?
Yeah, mate, everything's going good. The show went really well. Great atmosphere, in the arena in the park. The first one in the park since myself, and it was great to be here, great to experience it on the other side of the ropes for the first time, and you know, uh, yeah, special night.
Obviously, just on that main event, Mr. McCrory coming through with a victory against Steed Woodall. Good, durable Manny Steed took him the distance. What did you make of that fight?
Yeah, it was a very good fight. Loads of back and forth from the party. Probably a little bit buzzed in the second. It seemed. Came back, buzzed, stayed a few times. It was a great fight, and I know that before the fight, Paddy wasn't able to punch when he was able to spar twice, but even at that, it was a great performance by Steed. He put it in there. He was there to win, and tried his best. And you know, it was a very close fight. It was scored very closely on the cards, and the little knockdown for Paddy helped kind of put him in the clear a little bit. But it was a great fight.
I'm just interested to get your thoughts as to what the plan will be with him moving forwards.
Um, I'm unsure as of yet. They're most likely, basking in the glory at the minute, and obviously, Paddy is literally a stone throw from the park, and the fact that he just main evented there, I know he's enjoying it. To have a bit of time off, rest the hands. I know that because, as it says, he couldn't. He was only able to spar twice during the camp because of his hand. So he's gonna rest up the hand, and then we'll decide what's next after. He's ready to rock.
Mick, just obviously coming on to yourself, a few kind of changes in your career to get an update on. Obviously, he's come out that yourself and Adam Booth have parted ways. Just wanted to get an understanding as what to why you felt this would be the correct move at this point in your career.
You know, it was nothing personal. It wasn't like pointing fingers or anything after the last loss, but I knew that I needed to probably change something. Maybe a fresh kind of start, something different. I don't know where I'm going or when I'm going or whatever it is next. I don't know anything about who or where yet. But I know that I needed to change and just a fresh start, something different. It was, as it says, it was part of ways amicably. Um, I went over and seen him in London and told him the situation and told him how I felt, and we both agreed that it was best that we can move on, move forward, and that's how it went. So yeah, it was all good.
Was there anything specifically that made you feel that maybe it wasn't working out?
No, I probably felt no. Obviously, after the fight, everything in hindsight, when you're looking back, I probably felt maybe I'm going a little bit stale. I don't know. And I think a time for a change was the right thing, just something fresh, something different. I've been with Adam for 5 years. We've had two losses together. And you don't fix, you don't change something that's working. You change something that isn't working. And if we'll have two losses together, you could say it's not probably working a little bit. So let's change it up and look for a winning game plan.
Mick, obviously across the UK and Ireland, and of course over in the States, there's a vast variety of terrific trainers. I'm sure you won't be short of people who would like to work with you. Is there anybody who's been kind of running through your mind as to who you'd like to go and maybe spend a bit of a trial period with?
No, no one specifically, but there will be a few coaches who I will go and try out. I'm not gonna go to one and just go, okay, that's it. Even if it is the one I'll pick, even if it's the first one I'll look at, I'll still go and try the rest because I've probably been guilty of that before in my career, where you know even at the start of my career, and I don't think it was the wrong decision, but I went with Manny Robles because I went to Manny and we immediately clicked, and I didn't bother trying nobody else. And probably should have given myself more options, but I went to Manny and I was just like, nah, I'm here. This is perfect for me. I really like it, and at the time it was. The gym was great, the sparring was great. Manny's a fantastic coach, so that was the right thing. But this time, I'm going to give myself a little bit more time, and more options to have a look around. So, I'll probably try one or two in the UK, and then I'll, go to America, probably more likely on the East Coast to kind of stay. I would say, because I have, as I says, I have two young kids, and the time difference and travel distance and stuff will all matter and all play part in my decision. So yeah.
It's obviously a very, very crucial decision, especially at this point in your career, Mick. I'm sure it's not one which you won't want to rush. Have you got some form of a time frame as to when you'd like to have things a little bit more settled in your own mind?
The plan was to go again in December, but if I don't have things locked down in terms of coach and location and stuff before the end of September. I could see December far enough. I don't think December would happen if that was the case. But I hope to have everything sorted by towards the midpoint of September. Would be my timeline of hoping, but that's not the case that it will happen. That's just what I hope for. It'll take as long as it will take for me to defend the coach, and whether that means December doesn't happen, it will mean that. But I hope we can aim for that date.
Mick, just kind of looking as well with your promotional standpoint, I saw the news that, technically speaking, now yourself and Top Rank aren't working together currently. I know you've still got a very good relationship with them, but where do you stand on that note?
See, I think it's kind of been reported a bit wrong in a sense. Top Rank we have a grace period of negotiations about what, like, moving forward. That fight was the last fight for me. I was already in a contract, but we renegotiated a contract for that fight, and there's a grace period of negotiations before we move forward. And if I really wanted to go somewhere else, we have to kind of go through those kind of things. And Top Rank, they still want me. They still want to keep me, and it's nice to hear. It's nice to see that. But at the same time, I want to look at every option. I don't know where I'll be. So I'm not necessarily stuck with Top Rank. I'm not necessarily stuck in contract or anything. I'm out of contract. I'm in a point in my career where I can look at all the options and see what's best for me, and that's what I plan to do. And whether it is Top Rank, if it's Top Rank, great. If they have the best options for me, fantastic. But if someone else comes in different and has better options and better kind of plans, I'll probably look at that. You know what I mean? I'm not tied down. I'm not stuck in contract. So that's probably where I was. What I was saying, I probably came across wrong. Loads of people going, "Oh, he's left Top Rank and all this here," but it's not that I've left Top Rank. I'm out of contract, and they can renegotiate if they want in the grace period. And I don't think a few people were happy with me saying that, but it's just how it is. I mean, I have the option of choosing where I'm going.
Mick, just picking back up there. I didn't want to see you get in trouble there with your family, but yeah, we were just speaking there about kind of reports of yourself and Top Rank Parting Ways. You've just discussed that, said that's not necessarily the case. You're in this period of grace, this grace period rather, to go through and see what's what. Just looking at what could be out there. Obviously, they do hold two of the titles in your division. Is that something which is on your mind still? Obviously, I know you just fought Lopez. He's got a new fight on the horizon. We've got Robeisy Ramirez there as well. Or are you looking more at kind of the UK side of things and those big fights? You've got Warrington on the horizon. Both work with Matchroom. So is that also maybe a more viable option for you? Because for you to face a winner of that would be a huge fight as well.
Yeah, listen, I'm not necessarily looking at anyone specifically yet. I'm looking at the lay of the land. And, who can come to me or lay out the best plan. And Wood Warrington, the winner or loser of that, is a huge fight for me. So it's definitely a possibility that I would look at. Stem Top Rank is another one I would definitely look at. You've got two champions there in Videjo and Ramirez, and some people will go, he's silly for leaving names if he wants to become world champion because they have the belts, kind of thing. And I understand that. And then you got who else has the belts there? You've got Warrington and Wood fighting for his one, but that looks like that will go to. It looks like the winner of that one will probably move up and fight Joe Cordina. It seems, because that's where the winner is meant to fight Kombatov, is it?
Yeah.
It's meant to fight Kombatov, and I don't think that'll be happening because I seen Eddie has kind of spoke about the winner of that could fight. Joe Cordina. He's up for that fight. Joe needs a big fight, and either of those will bring big eyes and big fans to wherever the venue may be. And I seen he was looking at a stadium fight, so that could fill that gap for them and get them out of that mandatory fight against Kombatov, and obviously challenge for another world title at the weight above. But the winner might not be moving up. Or sorry, the loser, sorry. But who else? Ray Vargas at PBC has one. I think we've got to even look at them options. Look around everywhere and see where is the best place for me and where do I fit in, and that's what we'll do.
What's it like technically feeling like a free agent and just being at this stage of your career, Mick, and just not being tied to anything, whether it be kind of a promotional contract or a coaching, I know not having a coaching kind of play for yourself. What's it like at this stage being so free with your career? Are you worried? Are you concerned? Or are you excited?
I'm more excited than worried or concerned. You know what I mean? I know that there's plenty of viable options there for us. I know that I have still massive pull in terms of fan base and arenas and fights and stuff. I can still do big numbers, and that's the main thing, isn't it? Like, when you've got such a loyal supporting fan base, it helps throughout your career, and that's one of the things I'm grateful for. But I'm still hungry for the world title, and that's always my goal, is to be world champion, and I've gotta keep my eyes on that goal. But also at the same time, the big fights, which are there to be made. There's a lot of money to be made in those fights, and that's something I look at still.
Just to get your thoughts on the Wood Warrington bout, what is your take on that one?
I don't know. Honestly. I honestly don't know how it goes. On form, you lean towards Lee. But honestly, I don't know how it goes. I can't pick a winner. I would like to see Lee win. He's done so well, and obviously we share that kind of history of the fight together. Keep winning, and if he keeps winning, it makes my our fight look better and my loss look better, kind of thing. So, yeah, I like to see him. I like to see him keep winning. And I think that it's a pick and fight, and Josh, if you look, if technically people could go, he's on the slate. I don't think he is on the slate, but people could say that. And it's the kind of clash of styles, Lee being the puncher, Josh being the aggressive work rate kind of guy, and who can implement their game plan best. And if you look at Lee's last fight against Lara, he implemented that game plan fantastically. And if he can do something similar in terms of his game plan and implement it against Josh, I think he could win, and there's a possibility he could take him out too.
Me, just moving away from your fights, your weights, one of the other biggest stories which came out over the weekend was that of an adverse finding in a test taken by Dillian Whyte. I know you've been quite vocal on people who have failed tests in the past. What was your immediate reaction to hearing that news?
This fucking Nate Diaz, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers, or Nate Diaz again saying everybody's on steroids. It's shocking, man. And I actually like Dillian, but he's failed 3 times now, and I can't back it. And it was the same, like, even when Oscar Valdez failed, and he's a friend of mine, but I couldn't back it. This is not something I'm going to back. If you fail a test, no matter what, intentionally or unintentionally, it's in your system. And that was in the Valdez case where he was saying it was unintentional. And I think Dillian Whyte saying he doesn't know how it's been in, but man, you're failing drug tests and people's lives are on the line, and even if it's unintentional, this is very, very dangerous for the fighters who are in there. And me being a fighter, when I hear of people failing drug tests, it's fucking disgusting, shocking, and I don't stand for it one bit.
We've obviously just had an unbelievable weekend, but one prior to that when we saw Spence Crawford. So you've got the absolute highs of that weekend. Obviously, you had a new Fulton only a few days before that as well. I mean, obviously, you have all of this news break a matter of a week later. What certainly kind of a contrasting highs and lows of the sport.
I'd just say boxing, mate. That's what it is. That's boxing. It gives you the highs, the ultimate highs, and the ultimate lows. And what a few weeks of boxing we had, but you can never be up too long on boxing because it'll take you back down, and this is one of those cases. Yeah, terrible that's happened, and terrible that it's someone who's for the third time has failed, and unfortunately it's a sad day in boxing, but not surprising.
Mick, if you put your promoter hat on now, if you was in Eddie Hearn's shoes, who would you try and find as a late replacement to keep that show on?
The two I would look at there is Hrgovic and Hunter. Or Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz sells. He sells more than the rest of them because of the history with him and Joshua. He will sell, and I think he would be a great one to have. But in terms of who's right there and who's ready, is Hunter. Hunter was around ready to fight, and Hrgovic was on the same card. So, they're two decent enough names to the boxing kind of community, which we'll know. And not that it's Joe Blogs in the street who doesn't know boxing. But to like that, to the Andy Joshua fans, I would say Andy Ruiz would be the man to fill the spot. And he looks like he's in shape, he's ready to go, and he says he's happy for the trilogy. Yeah, I think that would be a great one to do.
Well, a lot of people would love to see that one. It's a fight which has been mentioned. I don't particularly think it would go down too well. Is the Derek Chisora one? What would you make if that one got through?
That's why I didn't mention him. I didn't mention him for that reason. I just I think it would be sad to see him. He just took a bad beating off Fury. I think was his last fight, and Joshua obviously punches much harder than Tyson Fury, and has been known to punch harder than Fury throughout his career. Although Fury has been hitting harder of recent times, and even at that, in that fight, I thought Fury kind of eased up and didn't want to kind of hurt him too bad. But anybody who's fighting him, if he's there to be hit, they're going to hit him, because it's in the sport of boxing, it is kill or be killed, isn't it, really? And I just think he's took too much damage throughout his career already, and there's no point of putting a stamp on it at the end here with someone like Joshua getting in there and trying to blitz him out. But whether he would or not would be the question. I just don't think it's the right fight. I don't think it's not even like, I wouldn't begrudge the opportunity. You know what I mean? I don't begrudge anybody making money. If he's making money, fantastic. But in a fight where he's getting hit by a big man who hits really, really hard, and he's there to be hit, I just don't want to see it.
I mean, Mick, obviously, but I'm sure probably by the time this goes out, there'll be another development with it, and they'll have an opponent announced, which neither of us have thought of or mentioned. But that is the boxing world. But I appreciate you jumping on this Monday morning. Obviously, have a good week, and I'll speak to you again soon. Thanks for speaking to me in Boxing News.
Right, mate. Speak soon.